Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coaching That Transforms Live Conversations. At PSA, we are committed to a redefined culture of empowering, and coaching that transforms is just one of the many empowering services we aim to provide. Joining me for this conversation is Miss Millennial Empowerment Catalyst and also Mr. Impactful Conversations. These are two dynamic individuals who have embraced coaching that transforms, and they are here to tell their story, but also to share about the experience. Please join me in welcoming to introduce herself, Miss Empowerment Catalyst, Delisha Murray. Woo.
Thank you, Andre Kelly, for this opportunity to be here along with my colleague, Mr. Lyburn. It's a pleasure to be here. Like you said, I am Delisha Murray, a millennial empowerment catalyst where I get to inspire and encourage young women from around the world who lack self confidence, self doubt, and self worth, and who are ready to awaken into the life that they want to create. So, yes, that's me. You can also follow me on my page, Delisha Marie Millennial Empowerment Catalyst. That's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. We are all on those social media websites. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Empowerment Catalyst herself. Now, we also have joining us for coaching that transform conversations, Mr. Impactful Conversations himself. I'm going to give him an opportunity to just introduce himself. Take it away, KT Lightborn.
Yes, thank you very much, Andre. And I appreciate this opportunity to be able to share this experience along with my fellow colleague, Miss Murray. Very exciting, very exciting. My brand is KT Lightborn. I am a purposeful speaker, a corporate trainer, and I also where I deal a lot with team building, one-on-ones, just for to help persons to be able to align their goals with what they want for success and the path that they can take. I am married for 14 years. I have two kids. I'm a Rotarian. I'm a Toastmaster. I'm a master project manager by trade. All of this helps to be able to guide and to lead persons and to be able to have the necessary conversations that helps them to get where they want to go.
Wow. So we have a pool of seasoned individuals who are well qualified, not just to be here, but who are well qualified in their various arenas. But tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about the whole coaching program that you enrolled in at Public Speaking Authority. And I know while we were backstage, you guys were talking about who's going to go first, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Why was coaching so important for you? Let's hear from you, Delisha.
Great question, Andre. To be honest, coaching was not my thing. I used to think, well, coaching persons who normally coach, they just want to suck persons' pocket dry.
All right.
Ouch.
Outright. But yeah, I for some strange reason I had that thought. Like they just want to suck person's pocket dry. And Google is right there. What I need a coach for? Until I started to do the journey on my own. And I got some ways, but then I felt stuck along the way. And I was like, you know what, Leisha? I had to change my mindset. This doesn't make any sense. You need persons that have gone before you in order to show you where you need to go and what you're doing wrong in order to go on the journey that you want to go on. So that's when I changed my mindset and started to get a coach to help me with my business. So yeah,
And you
that's
know, you said it. I always tell people this, right? Coaches are important, similar to the importance of mentors. The
that's it.
reason why we have them is because we have access to the wealth of information, the pool of experiences, but also the pool of resources that they have. And the more connected we are to them, the more likely it is we're going to achieve and attain our goals. So definitely that's important. Now, KT, we're not going to change questions, right? So we want to ask you the same question. Why was coaching so important for you?
Well, I'm almost like Delisha, where at first, I'll be honest, at first, I was like, coaching really isn't necessary. What Google or YouTube, what they can do for you, you don't need, it was already out there and I could have done it for free.
Mhm.
But to be honest, after going through the experience, I realized that a lot of things I may have thought I knew, realize I didn't know, or even when it comes to understanding or to articulate what it is, articulate what is going to happen or how do you do it. So it really kind of changed my mindset to understand why coaching is so important. Really, it's like your teacher. They they're getting you and they're setting you up for success by exposing you to the information, to the resources that you require. Because I've learned a lot, believe it or not, and it's just the application of it. And then that person initially was holding your hand to make sure that I'm gonna help you hold yourself accountable until you are able to hold your own your own self accountable. So yeah, it has changed my mind 180.
Coaches keep you accountable. And it has changed your mind 180, not even 100%, 180. So that's really, really good. I want to thank you both for just, being open in that regard. So I know we talked a little bit about the money and how a lot of coaches, they probably just want the money, and that's what you probably thought at first. Now, I remember the first time I met with you both, we did a 30-minute free consultation. We had a nice PowerPoint. We talked, there was conversation, and then your first session. What did you expect versus what you got? Now, I want you to be honest. I want you to be transparent. Take a minute and think about it. What did you expect versus what you got? And guess what? We're going to start with you, Katie. I want you to
Yes,
just share a little bit.
I'm really glad that you did, because that first 30-minute consultation, it's almost as if it felt initially as if, when someone trying to sell you a car, that first punch, they come in with that first punch to get you, to just, to get into your mind. And in a lot of experiences, when that happens, sometimes when you now start to go through it, you'd be like, but where was all the dynamic, where was the dynamic, that dynamic person that I first met who got me to sign on to this, and now I'm here. It's not happening. But I'll be honest with you, it was totally, it was like, wow. Um, because it's not only going through with the with the innovative resources that were provided, it was the opportunity to actually show that I learned what it was that I was being taught. Because in a lot of cases, you just go through slides, that's it. Or do you understand? Most times persons say, yes, they do, even though they don't. And then they just move along. But to now, when I was going through this, okay, so we going through that slide. Any questions? Okay, good. No questions. So I want you to demonstrate to me what I just put out that to you. So it's like, okay, now back to being accountable. Okay, now you know what? I actually do have a question, or I attempt, and then in my attempt, you use that opportunity to build off it to direct me. Okay, either you had it correct, or I want you to also look at it this way. So yes, it was. Believe it or not, I don't want to sound wrong, and this is not cliche. I felt as if I won. This was the first time that the customer cheated the supplier, because I felt as if I won.
Wow, you felt as though you won. And
Yes.
And even from being, I guess, the CEO and the founder, I love when I hear our clients say they felt like they won. That's important to us. And the reason why is because our coaching experiences, they're not just experiences, they transform lives. And they transform lives to the point where they're not the average coaching session, but we pride each experience in theory. Like you said, there's the PowerPoints that we go to for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then we have the whole aspect of practice. And practice is not just in the Zoom room. Practice is outside the Zoom room.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Felicia's going to talk a little bit about us stalking her on Facebook, because that's what we do to make sure that you're practicing. But then it's also the whole aspect of evaluation and conversation and the how to move forward. So, man, you won. You cheated us, you won, and we are still happy for you. Now let's go to you, Madam Empowerment Catalyst. The same question. What did you expect versus what you got?
So, Andre, not to brag or to swell up your head, but I've been following you for a very long time. So I know the quality of work that you put out there. So I wasn't expecting nothing but excellent, because I know you represent your name and you represent it very well. So I didn't even let my guard down. The first time when I did my 30-minute session, and you outline everything what we was going through, my mom was like, yes, I'm down for it, because at the end of the day, it's me who wants to grow. So I was just saying, you know what, I'm going with you. I know your work. So therefore we are going with you, and we're gonna do this work. So I didn't have nothing against what my first session was.
Wow.
I
Yeah.
didn't even
So,
know him.
considering all of that, what was your favorite coaching moment? I know we had a lot of moments, but through it,
You know,
through everything, from start to finish, what was the moment you loved the most?
whew, everything. But let me give pinpoint. So my favorite session was actually getting the nuggets, getting the tools, knowing what worked from what didn't work, seeing where I was going wrong and what I can implement to make it right, to get more interaction on my page, which I did. I did all of that, and even the nuggets I got. I think one time I was telling you that, sometimes you feel like you don't belong in the room or what have you, how to attract your audience. And you told me that, hey, they sent for you. So meaning you must be have something valuable to give to your
Yeah.
audience. So when you get in your room, you demand that room. You tell that room, you tell the atmosphere what you want. And so when you told me that, that just stick with me. And you know what? Every live I go on, hey, Leisha, you demand your atmosphere, you demand your room.
That's it.
So that was a breakthrough for me. And then the practical part, getting the theory part, getting what work, what don't work. So I was excited to just go and put these tools into practice. And then when after they was done, it's like, you saw the live. And then when you came back and gave me your feedback, I was like, wow, this is what I'm talking about. So that was my breakthrough. Those were my points that were great during the session. And we could go on, but just those points.
One of the things that I remember that I was committed to doing through your whole entire process was every time you were live, if I didn't catch it, I would go back and watch. And the reason why was because that was a part of our evaluation process. How do we ensure at Millennial Empowerment Catalyst becomes even better? And I must say, your growth has been extremely tremendous. You took the information, you ran with it, and you just did it. But also the mental barrier. And I want to say this to anyone that's watching, because they need to touch something, the barrier that makes you feel as though you don't belong, you're not qualified to be there, right? And that is the biggest barrier for us as human beings to overcome. It's not just with doing a Facebook Live. It's not just with speaking. It could be with your grades at work. The biggest barrier that I belong, that I should. And once you could get past that barrier, chances are you're able to attain the goals and the dreams that you set. And it's just a matter of understanding that the reason why you're there is because you qualify to be there. The reason why they sent for you is because you're the expert at what you do. That's important. And once you develop that mindset, it's not arrogance, but it's going to build and pump your confidence, and you're going to deliver. And I must say, I'm proud of you, Denisha, because you delivered every single time. Now, Katie, we haven't forgotten about you. What was your favorite coaching moment?
Boy, oh man. I trying to see how I could sum it all into one nugget. But I'll say that the first The first part would have been the icebreaker, where we started to go through the whole icebreaker exercise. And you challenged me to perform the icebreaker with my staff. And when I started to do that, it developed not only from an icebreaker where, all right, I created or I advanced the environment, which was a team building environment, a team environment, environment for productivity and success. However, out of it, I realized that I've watched my staff transform from being a bunch of men that hold within themselves to now that they look forward to it, they ask for it, and they want to hear from each other. And we have a diverse background of males that work with me. And what came out of it were actual, believe it or not, would have been speeches, would have been learning experiences.
Awesome.
And because of that, one of my actually treasured parts of it was the opportunity that I had to speak to the Royal Bahamas Police Force Prosecution Department.
Wow.
Uh, and to stand in the front of them and to use everything that I've learned and tried, the feedback that I've gotten from my staff, to stand in the front of to stand in front of sergeants and to speak to them and to get the type of feedback, because there's always going to be that one person in the room who's gonna like, I don't want to be here. That's always one of your barriers. That one who says that I don't want to be here, but at the end of it, they were almost that person was the most engaged in the meeting. And then to get the kind of feedback that I've received from actually the inspector in charge, who would have been a DTM, that would have been like, wow. So those two components that worked hand in hand, I would say that really was my
Wow.
favorite part of the coaching experience.
I remember when you first came into the coaching program, we asked you a question, and the question was, if you could be identified as a speaker, what kind of speaker do you want to be identified as? And that was important as we framed your whole coaching experience. And I remember you said you want to be impactful. And so we tailored all of that in, and then boom, bam, impactful conversations with KT, my boy. And we saw your growth, we heard your growth, and then you have the opportunity to speak outside of the coaching program where
Yes.
all of the skills you learned, you had the ability to put those into use. And I want to go back on something that Felicia mentioned earlier about the importance of a coach and mentor. Basically, you have access to their network, you have access to their resources, you have access to the information, to the knowledge, and at times they will open doors for you. And through this coaching program, so many doors have opened for both of you. And I am extremely proud of you both. So I want to ask you something, KT, and then I'm going to take you to Baby Sure. I know you started to talk about the impact in your work environment. How has coaching transformed your life, business, or even your brand?
Well, believe it or not, it has impacted more than just business and brand. It has impacted my every my me and everybody that is around me, especially within my household, because a lot of the teachings that I've or the teachings, the lessons that you would have brought, I shared it with my family. I shared it with my wife, my daughter, even my son, even though he's 3. But I still share it because at some point it's the instilling it in them, so that when they go out to do their whatever it is that they want to do, that they don't have to worry about the fear. They don't have to they don't have to worry about being failing. So like our motto now is, we build the plane in the air. Like
Wow.
that's what we do.
Wow,
We are building the plane in the air,
that's awesome.
and that's what it's about. So it has improved that how we approach things, taking away the procrastination, just going into it, and then seeking feedback, knowing how to give and to receive feedback. And this is not only moved from there; it's moved to well, it automatically just drifted to the brand. Now the brand impacts that because I'm not afraid to put it out there. I'm putting out content that I probably think about a million times and then never do it. but now it's just going out there, and I'm getting feedback that I didn't expect. So that kind of helps all of that. And even now in my other areas, like my Rotary, where I do a candid conversations, knowing how to structure that. So that is now growing, and that is blossoming. So it is just, and I already spoke, but my work environment, like, to get the kind of responses that I'm getting just by implementing or just by doing those small acts consistently, it is the reaping is like wow. So it has been a great impact, and I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for it, and just to keep it going.
Consistency is definitely the key. And the thing about, consistency, it's finding more ways to enhance your craft. It's finding, the right connections, the right network. So I'm definitely excited to find out what's next for you. But before we find out what's next for you, I want to go to Delisha. Delisha, how has coaching transformed your life, your business, or your brand?
Um, so coaching has transformed my life. Well, my brand, most of all, it gives me structure because before then I was all over the place. So now it's like I have a structure and where it's easy to flow and it makes my work easy, instead of doing things hard. It's just one little simple
Yes.
thing, just basic structure. It's then how my brand stands out. I had information of making my brand stand out, what makes me stand out from the other persons, being consistent. And yeah, that's coaching has helped me in those way by just giving me a structure, instead of doing things, thinking of things being so hard. And it's like the simplest thing we think so hard when it actually just a simple structure and just go flow with that. So yeah, more structure.
Now, I heard you mention the word brand. So, although I may know this answer, I want to ask you the question for those who are viewing. So, you mean to tell me the coaching sessions were not just public speaking, there were a lot more to learn?
A lot more to learn, even with logos, colors, shapes, sizes. It was more than just public speaking. Yeah.
So, coaching that transforms, for those of you who are watching, we help you develop your public speaking skills, but we also help you to build a consistent global brand. That's important. Now, before I move back to you, Katie, Felicia, I know there were many times I watched your lives, I asked and gave you feedback afterwards. How were those moments of me watching your lives and coming back to you in a session and say, oh, you did this, you did that? Or if I could, the smacking. How was that feedback for you? How was that?
To be honest, when I first got the feedback, I was a little critical, because I was aware, a little aware of what I was doing, but then you brought something else to my eyes that I did not see. So with those feedback, it's like whenever I'm going on live, I try to remember the feedback. And it's like, oh, gee, my coach is going to come on my live and see that I messed up. But then I remember you telling me something. You said, Delisha, take it one day at a time. You're not going to do it right away. You're not going to get rid of it right away. But just be mindful of what you're doing or what have you. It's like, okay, I could breathe, but not to let down my guards, but also to be mindful that, hey, these need to be in place. So at first, I was a little skeptical, but then as time went on by, it flowed because I saw it as, hey, Delisha, you're trying to be a better person. You're trying to give quality content out there for your audience. You're trying to engage with them. You're trying to bring them in. And you gave me the feedback, which was a barrier for me and a barrier for them. So once I overcame those barriers, I was able to bring them in as a whole. So yeah, the feedback, I look at it as Delisha, it's for your growth. So yeah.
That's good. Wow. The feedback is definitely for your growth. And a lot of times you may not agree with the feedback that we receive in the coaching programs, and that's okay. Because we say if you don't agree, let us know. And it's our opinion, and some of it is facts. But in time, you will see and you will discover once you watch the replay, but I am just so elated at your progress. I'm elated at your growth. I celebrate your excellence. We've had so many people walk through our coaching programs, and one of the things that we say, and you touched on it, we talk about the growth process. If it's your goal to become a motivational speaker, chances are you're not going to become that overnight. It took me 6, 7 years to get to where I'm at today. If it is you want to improve on your public speaking skills, your effective communication skills, it's not going to happen overnight. It's a growth process, but you must take the first step to invest in your growth. And you did that, and Katie did that. And Katie, while we're talking about what you did, I remember, I think we had a bonus session for you, and you were preparing to speak at an event, and you had the opportunity right before Christmas to speak in the front of an international panel. And this was a service that we provided that was a part of your package. How did it feel to present before this international panel? And how did it feel to receive the feedback they gave?
Well, let's talk about that. It was initially, it was, I would say it was nervous. It was a nervous experience at first because of, anxiety. You don't know what to expect.
Sure.
You really just don't know. But because I took a lot of time, I took a lot of preparation, taking everything into account of, what we went through, the different barriers, making sure, and then especially when you're talking about the difference between standing in the front of people and then being on the Zoom platform, which persons might take for granted, but it's a big thing because it requires a lot more attention to detail, especially when you want to get the impact, when you want to give and get the impact that you're looking for during your presentations. So I spoke to, it was this panel, international panel, gave my presentation. At the end of it, I felt good about what I did because in my head, I did what it was that I was trained on what I was trained to do. I kept it all there, put it in the front of us, put it out there. And the feedback that I received was it allowed me to improve because there's never a perfect.
True.
You could fight for it. You could try your best to reach for it. You could reach as much as you want, but there's not gonna be a perfect. But the feedback that I received from the panelists, it was very, my favorite word, impactful. It was concise. Parts of it I kind of cringe, but believe it or not, I will tell you that the feedback that I used, I took it and I redid my speech. That same presentation with those ideas in mind, and I presented just this Sunday, which was a Toastmaster group that is a hybrid group from persons from all over the world. And
Wow.
I presented, and at the end of it, even I would have gotten Speaker of the Night. I felt great about that. But believe it or not, that was not the greatest feeling for me out of that. It was when I got those side messages, in the chat where it said, listen, very impactful speech, or that was a great speech. Just to hear the feedback that came from those who were listening.
Yeah.
Yes, like to some showing me their drawings or whatever it is, I took them through that makes me, and they were able to everyone pulled out different lines. So I'd say that was a very, it was very, it was awesome. That's it.
So,
It was just awesome.
so going through everything that you went through, knowing all that you now know, what would you say to the person that is considering coaching?
I would, I wouldn't believe that someone out there exists anymore. Like, like no, and I'll be totally honest. I would believe that no, I would not believe that, especially if you're interested in perfecting, well, trying to reach that perfection in your craft, to reach that, to create and to sustain a level of excellence that continues to propel you. You need the coaching, no matter how you look at it. You need it. And I'll tell you, we didn't only do, especially when it comes to with you, Andre, we didn't just go through the speaking aspect of it. You touched on it where we did the logo. Like, how much times have we went back and forth about just the logo? What is there? I tried to reach. Going through my Facebook page, my LinkedIn page. What is it that you're trying to? What do you want the reader or the person who's looking at it? What do you want them to see? How do I look? My presentation, to go through these things. And then what was actually the most dynamic part of it was the point that I always had access. That was something that it was uncommon. Like, that is your standard of excellence. That at 8 o'clock at night, 7 o'clock in the morning, 4 p.m. Hey, I'm gonna do a speech. Do you have a minute? I want to just see if I could go over it with you. And this was even after we have finished. Our sessions were finished, and I still have access to you. Like, and my email, every so often there's an email that comes through that says, hey, there's an opportunity for you to speak if you want to. You get what I'm saying? So it wasn't like you just held my hand, carried me to the beach, stood on the sand and said, go swim. You held my hand, you walked me in the water. You taught me how to move my hands, kick my feet, taught me how to float. And then you did not, and even after I was swimming, you still stood there with your life buoy in hand and saying, now listen, I'm gonna watch you as you learn to backstroke and what's not. So I will tell you that if you are thinking about not doing coaching, I don't know what experience you may have had. I don't know if you had any experience at all, but invest in yourself.
Wow.
Invest in yourself. Do not let what your view of today, do not let the view of yourself today stop from what you look in 5 years. Do not stop that growth. Do not hinder yourself. Don't do it. So
That's good.
please, coach, get coach.
Now,
Coach
I
me.
must say, these individuals are not on the payroll. They are not on script. They're not being paid to say the things that they are saying. They're speaking from their heart. And if you're like me, you can definitely feel it through the conversation and the dialogue. But I want to piggyback off of something that you said, Katie, and that's important because our coaching experience is not like any other experience. We provide, that whole support before the coaching experience, during the coaching experience, and after. It's an ongoing process because we believe in our clients and we also want to see them succeed. So we just don't give them the information, but like you said, we send the emails with events and opportunities that they could speak to and that they could be engaged to enhance and increase, their capacity. That's important. Thank you for sharing that. Now, Madam Delisha, we haven't forgotten about you. What would you say to the person that is considering coaching?
I would say invest in you. Invest in you. No one's gonna write that book. No one's gonna start that business. No one is gonna do whatever you need to do to reach that next generation. And they need you. Please don't rob them of your gift because you are afraid, to bring it out. That's how I had to see it for me.
Wow.
And when you think of it, no one has ever done it by themselves. Oprah needed Maya Angelou. Les Brown needed a coach. Michael Jordan needed a coach. No one could have done it all alone. When I think about it, it's like passing a baton of the, say for instance, this coach is coaching me. When I am done, I can coach someone else and they can coach someone else. So it's like a cycle in order to make a better impact, a better environment, a better economy, a better world,
Wow.
you know?
Wow.
We
Powerful.
need that. We need coaches. And the late Dr. Miles Monroe, he said, to die empty. But I believe in order for you to die empty, you have to be full.
Come on. That's
Full.
it.
Yes, you have to be full. And in order to be full, you need to be around people who could pour into you. That's your
That's
coaches, your
it.
mentors, your
Mm.
teachers. You need them to pour into you in order to be the best version of you. So I could tell you that, hey, make the investment in you. It's scary because it was scary for me. And like I say, I thought coaching was just one suck my pocket, and I have it. you know. But when I say that I said leisure, you know what? We're not thinking about today as in present time. You are preparing yourself now in order for the future. There's a generation you need to reach. And in order to reach that generation, you must be well equipped and well prepared. In order to be well equipped and prepared, you need those mentors and those coaches to show you what you can see. Like they say, some persons come in your life to carry you a certain place. But after that, you got to drop them off and pick up the rest, the next set of person who could take you the other way. So I encourage you, invest in a coach. Yeah, that's
That
it.
was powerful. In the words of KT Lifer, that was impactful. Wow.
Yes. And
I
you
want to
got to pay
ask you the
more.
question. If you're watching, and I'm going to come to you, Katie, because you sound like you're ready to go. Who's coaching you? Who's mentoring you? That's important. Find a mentor, find a coach, because like Anisha said, every successful person, the history can reveal that they had a coach. They were connected to the coach. They were into what the coach was encouraging them to do. And because of that, they transitioned to their next level. If you have a fear of public speaking, if your confidence levels are extremely low, if you want to advance professionally, socially, if you want to just allow your voice to make an impact, enroll in coaching programs or schedule your free consultation with us today and we'll walk you through that process. Katie, I know you had something to say just now. I don't want to leave without giving you that opportunity.
No, I just was actually just piggybacking on Delicia's. Her just
Ooh,
man, listen, exactly. I was saying I should have had my pen and paper. And so imagine if, to be able to go to that level, like
That's it.
you could talk and impact just that one person. Like Delisha, I sorry I didn't have my pen and paper, but hey, you have
We
me.
are connected. No need to
Yes.
worry.
That's
Oh
it.
wow, you have
That's
me. You
it.
have me. Very powerful.
That's it. Wow, I am just blown away. I wasn't expecting all of this tonight. The only thing left to do is to take up the offering and let's go home. I feel empowered, I feel recharged, and I feel ready to continue coaching. But as we wrap up this conversation, how can people reach you, Delisha?
Well, you can reach me on my Facebook page. That's Delisha Murray, Millennial Empowerment Catalyst, or Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and yeah, those under Delisha Murray, the Millennial Empowerment Catalyst. Looking forward to your follow, your comments, your likes.
Awesome, thank you. And Katie Lightboard, how can people reach you?
Yes, on Facebook, I'm at KT Lightborn. On LinkedIn, Kron Lightborn, K apostrophe RON Lightborn with an E. Don't forget the E. And also, if you want to email me, it's k.t.lightborn@gmail.com. Can't wait to hear from you. Let us get that, let's partner up. Let's partner up to make this happen. Let's start building that plane in the air.
That's it. That's it. And we need the plane in the air because at PSA, we are producing, we are empowering global voices, which means this year, Kron and Alicia, we're going to see them on some global platforms. And there are a lot of other persons who are currently enrolled in our programs. Their goals are to become motivational speakers. We're going to see them on global platforms. And for those persons who may not want to become a global voice or a motivational speaker, you just want to improve your skills, enroll in our coaching programs because each program is designed just for you. And trust you me, you never know. One day you might become a global voice because on the inside of you, there's a story worth telling. And someone's deliverance, we're not in church, but someone's breakthrough is depending on your ability to tell your story. So we want to thank you so much for tuning in to this conversation, Coaching That Transforms, that's sponsored by the Public Speaking Authority. Stay tuned for the next one. Thank you so much. Take care.